Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want to thank you guys for continuing to pray for me. Something happened yesterday. It was kind of a miracle, or 2 nights ago, actually. It was kind of a miracle that happened. What had happened was I teach at a community college. Now, one of the most annoying things in the world as a teacher is to have mouth sores. It's painful when I'm talking, and it kind of pigeonholes creative speech as well. It's kind of hard for me to explain. I hope none of you guys ever go through it, but if you do, you know that when your mouth is sore, what you want to say and what you end up saying become very different concepts, right? It's hard for me to explain here, but just take my word for that. As I was going to bed 2 nights ago on Wednesday night, a mouth sore started to form, and they start small and they become more and more painful, and then they start getting better. Right? For me, it's at least a 2 week process usually, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, no! I got important lessons to teach tomorrow and the next 2 weeks." And I tried to tell God that please just let my mouth feel comfortable. I'll return it to you a thousandfold with my teaching. Invest in me. And I tried to put that behind me and go to sleep. And the next morning, the mouth sore had already started to heal. Let me see if I can show you guys on here. And this is definitely not what a mouth sore looks like on day 3 or day 4 of the sore. But unfortunately, I haven't been very good to God in return. The very next day, I had a student who I kind of lost my patience with. I told him, I got to get back to my office. Why don't you come back to me when you sort out your question? He was all over the place with something he wanted to ask. And I couldn't wait to get back to my office because there was a bunch of Legos waiting for me to put together. And I lost my patience with him. And I don't like very long-winded people. Earlier today, I had a difficulty with my cell phone, actually. I have a simple mobile phone, and so my credit card had just expired, and so the automatic payment didn't go through, and I had to call the phone company, and I lost my patience with the representative. She was long-winded about, I just wanted to give her my credit card number and my address, and she was circling the drain with all sorts of other things, and nothing crazy. But I get very impatient with stuff like that. God forbid if I've been talking about going on vacation. Part of the reason I haven't gone is that some of these issues when you go to check in with an airline, go through security and seating and all. There's so much long-windedness when all I want to do is fly from A to B, right? And so I want you guys to continue to pray for my art career. I'm going to be doing some Legos, and I'm going to be getting. This is a Sierpinski's carpet that I tried to put together. I didn't anticipate how heavy the Legos would be on the base plate, so this wasn't the best choice of base plate, but you get the idea. I'm hoping to do when I get the right base plate, maybe even one more iteration of that. It would make it 10 feet tall, roughly. So you would have three of these guys and up and down, and then you guys will see when I do it. But I'll be submitting that to Lego Ideas. I'm kind of torn on when I should do the submission. I don't want to. Part of the reason I ran into difficulty with my Bismuth art was I got the timing wrong. I started submitting way too early when my art was mediocre. And then when I had good stuff, some of the people I submitted to didn't want to listen to me anymore. I don't want to make that same mistake with the Lego Ideas. It's good that I don't kind of need the Lego Ideas to work just now. I mean, I got a lot of stuff going on at the moment, anyhow, and so that is good. There is one. I'm thinking. Aside from, I want to do two things before I submit now, because again, I don't want to make the same mistake I made 2 years ago with the Bismuth art. I started making noise way too early, and so people didn't want to listen to the later ideas that I had. That I ran into that problem. If you're an artist, and you've ever done that, please feel free to leave a comment. I wonder, how do I rectify that? because some of the places that I'm trying to consign my bismuth art projects with, I started contacting them way too early when I had mediocre stuff, and now some of them are just don't want to look at the new stuff. Right? That's what I feel, at least. I don't know if that's the case. Feel free to leave a comment if you have ever run into that. So the Sierpinski's carpet, the Mondrian Art Square, and I hope to build a Lego model of a monument. I won't say which building it is right now. So there's Lego ideas for all sorts of monuments, right? I was just looking at one for the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. There's one for Taipei 101. That's already been done. But there's another monument that I've visited before that I hope to do out of Legos at some point. I'm kind of torn. Do I submit my Mondrian art first and see if that works? And because I worry if they reject it, which is fine with me, but I worry if that's going to be a turnoff when I have later ideas, right? Or do I wait until it's all done so that I could show them, hey, I got 5 different things that I've built over the last 2 years. Let me know if any of this interests you. Right? If anybody watching this is an artist who has some insight, feel free to leave a comment, because I really feel I fucked up with my metal casting art. So feel free to leave a comment. Now, there's another reason. There are 2 other reasons why I want you guys to continue to pray for me with my bismuth art. Or not bismuth, Lego ideas. There are 2 other reasons. The first is that my first day at my job at Central Arizona College, I ran into a frustration, and I know why I was frustrated. One of my colleagues was drinking a tea, and the noise bothered me. But now that I've had time to reflect on it, I don't think it was the noise itself that bothered me the most. What bothered me the most was that I was powerless to do anything about it. I couldn't walk away from that job, right? This wasn't just a hobby, right? It was part of my livelihood, right? And I had no control over my colleague. I mean, having no control over my colleague doesn't bother me so much. I think it's the fact that I had no walkaway power, right? Now, let's flip it around. Imagine the Legos start to make me $1 million a year, right? I don't know how much people are making on Lego ideas, but imagine I start to make anything, really, because it'll be passive income, right? So part of the reason my art projects are killing me is that because they literally are killing me, right? If I had an idea out there that was bringing me passive income, that would be a whole different story. Now imagine I start bringing home $1,000 a month, or even something from my Legos, right? And I go to CAC, and my colleague makes that drinking noise again. Now, would I quit my job at CAC right then? Probably not. But the existence of the option to quit my job would be a security blanket, right? And so it would change the dynamics of the environment, right? And I think I'll feel a whole lot better, and I'll do my job a whole lot better. I probably wouldn't have lost my patience with the student that day. I'm just not a very long-winded person. I want to get things done and go, right? So, for example, I always argue, getting back to the vacation story, I always argue with TSA who needs to read all this stuff to me. I know it already, and they still need to read it out loud when they pat me down. And I often get very impatient with it, right? And you get the idea, right? I always want to tune out of the in-flight announcements on the plane, right? If I can get away with it, I usually try to put on earplugs or something, right? I have a funny story about this, actually. One time, my brother and I were flying, and so I didn't want to listen to the in-flight, so I put on some headphones and I started listening to something. And I told my brother, no, just watch out for the flight. When the flight attendants go, just let me know so they won't see what I'm doing. And so we had a code word. It was GIF. My brother and I had invented the word GIF to mean to kind of break the rules, right? I'm GIFing somebody. And so flight attendant goes by. My brother goes, GIF, 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 GIF. And I took off my headphones for a moment. And that was that. I just can't be bothered with long-winded stuff. And the other day, my student was asking me something. He starts getting long-winded about something else. Nothing to do with calculus, nothing to do with his homework. He got long-winded, and I basically said, I got stuff to do. When you clean up your question, come back to me. You know where my office is. And I made a run for it. And then I remembered what I had promised God the night before, and I felt really badly about it. So I want you guys to continue to pray that part of the reason I'm losing my patience is just the environment of living here in Phoenix. I haven't been making a whole lot of friends here, and I feel time is slipping me by, right? A good 2, 3, 4% of my life expectancy has passed me by, and I haven't been making a whole lot of progress with social connectivity. And I hope the Legos will be my ticket to freedom, but I'm unsure about when to make the submission. Just a whole lot of and I hope that Legos will also be my ticket to freedom when I have uncomfortable work situations as well, right? There's a whole lot of stuff jammed all together, and then my cell phone gets cut off, and having to deal with the customer service today, and losing my patience again. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.